What is going on YouTube? My name is Nevin the Barber, and in today's YouTube video we're going to be starting off by using my T outliners to set in my first bald line in this haircut. And I did use my gamma outliners to start the cut, but now I'm using my Babyliss T outliners to bald it out. And now I'm using my Bronze Series 9 just to go over it and get it all the way down to the skin. So whenever you guys do a skin fade, you always want to make sure that you get your foundation nice and clean all the way down to the skin before you start fading into the hair. So for our first guideline, we're going to be using our Babyliss clippers with the lever all the way open. And this is cutting the hair down to a 0.5 length right here. And we'll just begin closing our lever one notch at a time to flick out that bottom skin line. And every time you guys close your lever, just be sure to shorten your cutting stroke just because the hair is going to be getting cut at a shorter length. So you guys can see that I'm just flicking out at that bottom line, and little by little it's starting to fade away. And now to get right into our next step, I'm using the number 1 guard all the way open, and I am using my Wahl 1919 Anniversary Seniors right now. And again, we're going to take it up about another inch from our previous guideline. And you guys want to make sure to be very consistent with all of your steps, just because this is going to ensure a more blurrier and consistent cut. And to knock out that guideline between the 0.5 and the 1 guard open that we just created, we're going to use the half guard to knock it out, starting with the lever all the way open. And as you guys can see, now that we have our 0.5 blended into the 1.5, we can now begin cutting into the bulk of our client's hair. So I went straight into the 4 guard all the way open, and I am bringing my clipper all the way up, flicking out once I hit the parietal ridge. And we're just gonna go down to the 3 guard and the 2 guard and repeat the same steps just to lighten up that bulk a little bit. And now with my 1.5 guard, just blending the fade into the bulk of the hair using the corner of my clipper. And you guys can see little by little that the blend is coming together. Like I said, as long as you guys put in consistent guidelines and use a consistent cutting stroke, your blend will come together very clean. And to get right into the other side, we're going to repeat the same exact steps. Again, using my Babyliss T outliners to put in our first bald line. And this first step that you guys create is very important because this is the foundation of your fade, and it's going to determine how the rest of the cut lays out. So you want to make sure to put a lot of detail and time into this first step. And since this is a burst fade, we want to make sure that our fade bursts out in every single direction. So you guys want to make sure to get a nice clean circular shape for your foundation. And now that we have it all the way down to the skin, we can get right into our next guideline with the lever all the way open. Again, using our Babyliss clippers. So this is cutting the hair down to a 0.5 length. And after we have that foundation line set right above our skin line, we can begin closing our lever and attacking that bottom line. And you guys can see that I'm just corner cutting using the corner of my clipper. I'm doing this because this gives me a more accurate cut whenever I'm using the clippers, rather than digging the whole blade into my client's head. And here I just went back to my T outliners to flick out that bottom skin line. Sometimes you have to do this depending on your client's hair texture. So now that we have that first step complete, we can get right into the next guideline. Again, you guys already know, with the number 1 guard open, we're going to give ourselves about another inch right above our previous guideline. You guys can see that I'm just flicking out, again creating a nice circular shape. And now to blend out that guideline, we went back to our half guard with the lever all the way open. So this is cutting the hair at a short number 1 guard length right now. And we're just going through, flicking through that guideline. And just be sure not to pass the one that you just created with the number 1 guard open. And whenever doing this, just pay attention to the growth pattern of the hair, because some people may have hair growing in different directions on the scalp. So now that we have our blended out from the 0 to the 1.5, we can begin fading into the bulk of the hair. So as always, we're going to start with the number 4 guard and then start blending down into our fade. And once we have that complete on both sides, we can begin creating our shape in the back of my client's head. And with this, you guys want to try to create a V shape in the back, a very symmetrical V shape. And now we will begin doing the lineup. So every time I line up my client's hair, I always knock their hair down with the number 1 guard with the grain. And this just lays the hair flat. That way no hair moves whenever I line it up. And same thing with the hairspray, just applying some spritz to lay it down. That way when I come in with my T-outliners, it'll leave a nice crispy line. And as always, you guys want to keep the hairline as natural as you can whenever you line it up. Same thing with the box. Try to get a nice sharp 90-degree angle while keeping it right at that natural hairline. Same thing on the front. You guys don't want to push the hairline back. Just keep it nice, clean, and natural. And if you guys don't have your T-outliners modified or zero gapped, I do highly recommend that you zero gap them, just because it will make the job a lot easier whenever you guys do your edge ups. So now I'm just gonna go back and hit my client's hairline with the razor, leaning him back just so I could go up against the grain of the hairline. And this does create a much sharper cut rather than going with the grain of the hair. So I do highly recommend that you guys lean your client back and razor their line up against the grain whenever using the razor. And you guys can see that it left a nice crispy line. So now we're just gonna trim the top of my client's hair and give him a nice clean finish. Just taking off about a ½ inch all the way through. And here I'm just doing some horizontal guidelines following all the way through the back of my client's hair, just to get it nice and clean, to create a nice shape throughout his hair. And you guys can see that I'm just using a traveling guideline, matching my last cut as I bring the hair up. And now, just to hydrate my client's hair, I went ahead and applied some OG Walker Red Alert. And this is just a retention foam. I do highly recommend this for anyone who has curls or waves. And again, it's always important that you guys go back and style your client's hair and increase your chances of retainment on the cut. Always be sure to go back and apply some product in your client's hair, just to give them that picture perfect look whenever they step out your chair. And here I'm just doing some clipper over comb to knock off some bulk in the back of my client's cut, just so I could give them more of a crispy edge up in the back. And like I said, it's very important that you guys get your cuts symmetrical as you can. So always be sure to go back and put in those extra details. And if you guys have learned anything in this haircut tutorial so far, please be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I do appreciate any feedback that you guys leave me. And here, just finishing up the cut, detailing it with some shear over comb. And whenever you guys do this, always be sure to roll the comb out at a 90 degree angle, just so you don't cut into the bulk of your client's hair. Thank you guys for watching today's tutorial. That completes today's burst fade. And like I said, if you guys learned anything, I appreciate any feedback. With that being said, I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching.